Shadows over the Silent Lake. A Chilling Tale. Estimated reading time, 30 minutes. Chapter 1. The Invitation into the Unknown. It happened to us in the summer of 2007. There were 4 of us: Mark, Sam, Lisa, and me. We were bound not only by school friendship, but also by an irresistible passion for everything mystical and forgotten. That year, we had finished university, and before diving into adult life with its boring offices and mortgages, Mark proposed an epic final adventure. He had found a mention of the Silent Lake in an antique book bought at a flea market, a place that was not on any modern map. It was believed that this lake, hidden deep within the Carpathian forests, once surrounded a small settlement that had vanished without a trace back in the 1940s. Local legends claimed it was cursed or taken by the forest. Mark, the undisputed leader of our expeditions, was thrilled. "It's not just a lost village, guys," he said, unfolding a faded black and white photograph found in the same book. It barely showed the gloomy silhouette of a wooden hut against the backdrop of deadly still water. It's Kazanka. People believed that something old, something hungry, resided there. Lisa, the smartest and most skeptical of us, rolled her eyes but still agreed. Sam, always up for a thrill, was already packing his army knife. I, the storyteller of our group, felt a slight, unpleasant chill run down my spine. We set off in Sam's old Jeep, navigating paved roads that quickly turned into rocky dirt trails and then disappeared entirely, giving way to impassable thickets. On the 3rd day, as the sun began to set, casting long, distorted shadows, we finally saw it. The Silent Lake. It was exactly as in the photo. Perfectly smooth, inky black, and surrounded by such dense and ancient fir trees that it seemed as if they grew not from the ground, but from the darkness itself. The air was motionless and heavy, saturated with the smell of rotting wood and damp moss. There was no birdsong, no buzzing of insects. Complete, absolute silence. Hence the name. On the shore, slightly away from the water, we noticed what we were looking for: ruins. They weren't like ordinary remains. The wooden walls of the huts hadn't just collapsed. They looked like they had been crushed or pulled inward, forming strange, twisted structures. We set up camp quite far from the ruins, feeling an instinctive aversion to getting closer to them. That night, when the campfire was the only source of light, Sam, who was usually the most cheerful, started to get nervous. "Guys, do you hear that?" he whispered, peering into the darkness. We tensed up. Nothing. Just the crackle of the wood. "The silence," Sam clarified, his eyes wide open. "It's too deep. It's like someone put a bell jar over the forest." We laughed, trying to reassure him and ourselves. But that night's stillness was the first crack in our skepticism. Chapter 2. The Forgotten Calendar. The next morning, we began our exploration. The ruins were haunting. It seemed as if the inhabitants of Kazanka had simply stepped out of their homes and never returned. In some huts, rusty bowls stood on the tables, and faded but intact embroidered towels hung on the walls. Inside, it was cold, like a cellar, even in the sunlight. In the largest building, which looked like an old chapel, we found the strangest thing. It lay beneath a layer of rotten wood, a thick, leather-bound book that had miraculously survived the dampness. It was a diary, or, more accurately, a village calendar chronicle. Lisa took on the task of translating it. The text was in Old Ukrainian, difficult to read. Most of the entries were about the harvest, the weather, and local holidays. But the last pages, they were written in uneven, almost frantic handwriting, and dated late 1944. August 18th. 2 lumberjacks returned. Their faces were gray as ash. They saw the shadow. It had no form, but it took up too much space. It was at the bottom of the lake, and they felt it watching them as they passed the shore. The elders said this was the return. August 25th. Children do not laugh. Dogs do not bark. Hens do not lay eggs. Maria and her youngest son have disappeared. They say she went to the water. Their belongings were not found. September 2nd. The water. Today, it feels thick. I threw a stone. I heard no splash, only a dull, wet thud. It was like hitting raw meat. We do not drink it anymore. September 5th. Glass eyes. I woke up at night because someone was standing by the window. It was too tall, too thin. When I lit the candle, it vanished, but on the porch lay a dead owl. Its eyes were clear, like pieces of glass, and they looked up towards the trees. We are boarding up the windows. September 7th. Marco fell into the well. He screamed. We pulled him out, but he does not speak. He only points to the water and whispers, "There is no bottom, only viscidity." We burned his clothes. September 10th. It came. It tore the roof off Luca's hut. His wife. She remained, but her body, it was turned inside out, like a sock. Do not look for logic in how it breaks. It is not human. We know we will not survive. It will not let go. The forest holds us for it. September 11th. Do not look at the lake. Do not think about it. If you acknowledge it is there, it acknowledges you. I am leaving. I leave this record so that no one comes here. Do not touch it. Do not wake it. It merely has to wait. And it is waiting. The last page was stained with a dark brown old fluid, perhaps blood or rust. Hell, Sam exhaled, pale as a sheet. That's some madman writing fantasy before he died. But even he didn't sound convinced. We decided to burn the diary. Chapter 3. The Lake's Gloom. That same night, it began. We saw nothing. It was worse than seeing a ghost or a monster. Around 2 a.m, I woke up with a sensation that my head was resting on a wet stone. Confused, I lifted it. The pillow was dry, but the feeling was real. I saw Mark. He was sitting by the dying campfire, staring at the lake. "Mark, what are you doing?" I whispered. He didn't answer. When I approached, I saw that he was crying. Not loudly, not hysterically. Tears streamed down his cheeks, but his face was absolutely motionless, as if frozen in a sleeping mask. His eyes were open, but vacant. "Mark, go to sleep." I put my hand on his shoulder. He flinched, as if breaking out of a trance. "What?" He wiped his face. I don't know. I thought I could hear the water breathing, and it was calling. Very softly. My name. The next day, Lisa found our compasses. All 4 needles were stuck. They pointed not north, but simply in the direction of the lake. "Complete disruption of the magnetic field," Lisa explained, trying to maintain a scientific tone. "Perhaps there are large ore deposits here, but we knew." It wasn't iron. In the evening, as we sat in the tent, Sam felt something pressing on him. "I can't breathe," he gasped, clutching his chest. "It's like something heavy and cold is lying on me." We pulled him out of the tent into the fresh air. After a few minutes, he calmed down. "I swear," he said, trembling. I heard it whispering, "Come here. It's warmer here." We recalled the diary. Do not look at the lake. Do not think about it. If you acknowledge it is there, it acknowledges you. End quote. We're considered-y. We are considered-y. To one of, we are considered-y. We had been acknowledged. Chapter 4. The Disappearance. In the morning, Sam was gone. His sleeping bag was open. His shoes were standing by the tent. His knife, which he never let go of, lay in the grass. No signs of struggle. No footprints. He had simply vanished. Our cries of despair only emphasized the silence of the forest. Mark, Lisa, and I made the only possible decision: to flee immediately. We were scared, but the fear for Sam was stronger. We started packing our things, but when we got to the Jeep, the tires, all 4 tires were punctured, not slashed, but specifically punctured with hundreds of tiny sharp holes, as if a swarm of giant termites had gnawed through them. "That's not an animal," Lisa whispered, looking at Mark. That's intelligence." We were trapped. Mark, who had been an orienteering enthusiast since childhood, began planning a retreat on foot. We go east. That's the direction we came from. It'll take 2 days, but we have water and food. Lisa nodded. I looked at the lake. It was like a mirror. But now it seemed to me that something vast was beating beneath that inky surface. As we started to move, Mark stopped. He stared at the ruins. I have to find him, he whispered, his voice strangely calm. Sam. Maybe he hid. Mark, no, I yelled. Don't we have to go? But Mark was already walking. His steps were quick. He was heading towards the hut, where we had found the diary. We ran after him. He was standing in the middle of the chapel. On the wooden floor was something new. It was Sam's backpack. It lay flat, neatly, but when we turned it over to check the contents, it was empty. He was here. Mark looked up, and his eyes held nothing but despair. It brought his things back. Suddenly, Lisa screamed and pointed at the wall, where an old cross had been. Someone had now scratched a fresh inscription. In Latin characters, but with a Carpathian accent, Ne hodite sami, do not walk alone.